August 2025 Astrology Insights. Biggest thing is the sun moves into Virgo this month. We have a full moon in Aquarius, a new moon in Virgo, and we still have several planets that are in retrograde as we move into the month. So we're starting out. We have on the 6th, we have Mars in Libra. Mars is the god of war. It's our warrior energy, our warrior spirit. It's basically how we make moves, right? Like our motivation, our ability to get up and get things moving. On the opposite end of that, it can also be a level of undoing and destruction. Um, because there's duality in all of these energies. So Mars in Libra brings us just like this poetic look at how we're coming together and how we're choosing to get things done. Libra is air energy that is ruled by Venus, and so there's this space where Libra wants things to be harmonious and it wants things to have a balance. And so you want to make sure that this month you are focused on making your moves in a way that makes sense, nothing erratic, nothing risk taking. We want to do things that make sense this month, right? Do things that are in harmony and collaboration with those around us. This is a true sense of community, right? Because there needs to be this understanding that we're not separate individuals moving in a vacuum. The things that you do affect other people. And so Mars in Libra is just kind of that reminder that the things that we do affect other people. You're not, my mother used to always say, like, you didn't come live this life by yourself. There are other people who think around you, other people who care about you, other people who want to know what's going on with you. And even when you don't think that that's a thing, I mean, unless you're the Grinch living up by yourself, you're not alone. And even in that story, the Who's in Whoville came to get him. So he wasn't alone. Um, Full moon in Aquarius. If you go and check the moonscapes, I will have the link to moonscapes with this post. But if you go and check the moonscapes, I have some in-depth insights on the full moon in Aquarius and the new moon in Virgo. The full moon in Aquarius is on the 9th. And we're exploring complicated emotions and freeing ourselves from those complicated emotions. And looking at both of the moons, the full moon and the new moon this month, are talking about like emotional stability and getting ourselves off of the mental acrobatics of the like that hamster wheel that our mind spins on. Full moon in Aquarius is also like deepening our emotional awareness. But I do go more in depth. Definitely want you guys to check that out because there's some intricacies with that full moon that can really help you to be able to propel and just like start to lay those steps to moving forward. The sun moves into Virgo. We come from Leo. We start the month out in Leo energy, and the sun moves into Virgo on the 22nd. That's practicality in our approach. Virgo is earth energy ruled by Mercury. So there's this space where we're, thinking about things, trying to pay attention to things, paying attention to the details. It's very charming energy. It is like Virgo, I think of them as like an author or a designer. Like they're pulling all these creative efforts together and laying out a game plan. So those that Virgo energy, be more meticulous over the next 30 days, be more focused. And that makes sense along with talking about that full moon in Aquarius where we're looking at our emotional stability, right? And deepening emotional awareness, which can help us to understand. When you understand how you're feeling, you are better able to execute where your actions are concerned, because your feelings create your actions. And then, like on the 23rd, the new moon is in Virgo. This is safety, like finding safety and having clarity. I say in this, with that new moon, check your tolerances. Like, what are your standards? What are the things and who are the people that you've been tolerating lately? Check your tolerances. Um, because there is this space where, and I talk about this more in Moonscape. So this Moonscope. So definitely um make sure that you look at that in-depth insight. But there's this restlessness and emotional tension that is going on. I mean, globally, there's so much happening all at one time. And then, in people's own backyards, in their own communities, things are happening. And then on a smaller scale, even smaller, it's like things happening with people personally in their homes and just in their own personal life. And so all these things are going on at the same time. And what happens is people are creating think pieces and constantly having opinions and conversation, and we just innately search to find ourselves in those conversations. Where does this resonate? Where does this make sense? Or does this person over here in this conversation have a way to articulate exactly what I'm thinking and feeling? Oh, yes, they do. Oh, no, they don't. And so we've just kind of left pieces of ourselves all around everywhere, and we're looking and we're searching and we're exploring. And the mental acrobatics of that can be quite exhausting to the point where it's hard for you to actually put your energy into the things that you really, really need to do. And so when it comes time for you to be able to do the things that you need to do, it's difficult because you no longer have the mental acuity to handle the stuff that you really need to handle. So that new moon in Virgo is like, hey, where are you like overthinking? Where are you paying attention? Like, what spaces are you paying attention to where you need to call your energy back? Um, we wrap the month with Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo is excuse me, Venus in Leo is quite passionate. But we have to, and we talk about Venus more in the love scopes, which I will also put a link to, because in the love scopes, we talk about how to cultivate relationships and what our Venus energies are doing. And so that Venus in Leo has to remind us it's like everything isn't long term. Like all relationships aren't long term, but they can be fruitful, right? Like just because you meet somebody and have a powerful conversation, that doesn't mean that you need to call them back and create an attachment and create a link. That means you had a good conversation that day and it filled you. And you need to be able to move on. It's a boundary thing for sure. We also have we still have several planets in retrograde through the course of August. um, Neptune in Aries is still retrograde, and it's gonna stay that way. You'll hear me kind of repeat it through the end of this year because Neptune in Aries went retrograde back in July. So this is, these are kind of the energies that supplement the monthly energy, right? Because these things are always kind of like those apps running in the background kind of thing. Um, so Neptune in Aries, there's that, obsession with independence and looking at what is freedom. So when we couple that with the energy for Virgo and things like that this month, practicality and You've got those the new moon and the full moon talking about relationships and how to, come together. There's a space where we have to understand, and I said this to a degree in the I think I said it in Love Scopes, but there's a space where we're almost kind of parallel playing with each other, versus actually improving our propensity towards empathy and community. It's like, well, I don't want to go that deep, which is it's an insanity. It's like, oh, I want to go on a date, but I don't want you to do too much for me because I might not like you. Okay, but if you go on the date and you figure out that it doesn't work, then use your words and then let's properly just say, you know what, this was like, it doesn't have to be so black and white. It doesn't, like, ending things doesn't have to be negative. There's really this space where you can just be like, hey, I went on this date, it didn't work. But that's where that Venus and Leo comes in, where it's like we need to be able to have strengthened connections and be able to say that was it for the day, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're struggling with, like, how to put these connections together, because we've put ourselves into this space where we just kind of parallel play with people instead of forming connections that matter or releasing connections that don't. Saturn is still retrograde in Aries through November. So you know, there may be some frustration or irritation in achieving our goals. And once again, more excessive focus on the self. Here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with focusing on yourself. Where it becomes a problem is where you can't integrate other people properly into your space, or you can't integrate properly into other people's spaces. And we're continuing to learn how to moderate our resources with Saturn retrograde in Aries. Um, we Mercury went retrograde in Leo on July 18th, and it goes back direct on August 11th. And so as we come into the month with that Mercury retrograde, it's Mercury in Leo is very charismatic in and of itself. It's like this charismatic leader who has the words, and they're able to say the thing that kind of brings everybody together, whether that's good or not, right? Because you can bring people together under negative pretenses. But Mercury retro in Leo is like, watch what you say, and on the other side of that, watch what you ingest. Watch what you're ingesting, right? Pay attention to who's on the mic, right? Pay attention to that. Like, there needs to really be this space where we scrutinize where we're getting our information from, right? So, yes, the messenger does matter. I talked about that. That's something that I've been talking about for years. Is the discernment with all of that, right? I, and I give these examples often. Like, I've seen some folks who are, for instance, they're licensed therapists and they do well at their job, but like their day job, but then when you see them talking about things and they're talking about relationships, it's very imbalanced, right? Like, you may see female women therapists um talk, because I know people have an aversion to the word female and an aversion to the word male, so we're going to say women and men, which can also get me caught in the crossfires because women, men, all the gender things. But here we go. Um, I'll see women who are therapists, and whenever they talk about relationships, it's never anything positive. It's always skewed. And so it makes me say, like, huh, I don't know that I could go to, maybe I could go to you for therapy about anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. Or maybe there's like another niche, but I couldn't talk to you about relationships because everything that you say about relationships is negatively skewed for whatever reason. Um, it's the same thing with, like influencers and things like that. It's like they're selling you something, but in real life, everything doesn't add up. And so that discernment has to be there. Energetically, what are you discerning from this person? Should you be there? Should you ingest all of that? And then I've seen some people say, what do they say? Chew the fat and spit out the bones, eat the meat and spit out the bones, or something like that, where it's like ingest what you need to from that message, because some of it can be good and some of it can be trash. But you know, that would be equivalent to kind of saying, you know what, I have a block of cheese in the fridge and only the middle is molded. So I'm going to cut the mold out the middle. It's moldy cheese. It's moldy cheese. And so with Neptune coming out of Pisces and into Aries, there were a lot of illusions that were revealed, a lot of illusions. People think people have money. People think that they're happily married, that these folks are happily married. People think that these folks are rolling in bank. People think that these folks have community. People think that, you should listen to this person who is advising or giving opinions. Like, there's all these things. It's discernment. Where's the consistency? Where do these things that you're listening to, like, if you go do them, do they actually work? I have people ask me on a regular basis, like, do you do the things that you suggest for your clients? I do. Sure do. I don't, like, for instance, with my vehicle healing through sacred writing, that's on Substack. That's me talking about my own journey. I don't present anything that I'm not doing. I'm a Reiki practitioner because I've practiced Reiki for 5 to 6 years before I started practicing with other people. Um, I'm going to be incorporating yoga principles, but that's because I've been going to yoga for a really long time before I decided, you know what, I need to learn more, and you'll see it start to, filter through some of my work. And so those things are really important to kind of ask the questions and scrutinize. And I'm never offended, when people come and they're like, who do you like? What do you believe in God? Yes. I mean, have you heard me talk? Yes. So we have to start to do more of that as of this month, like really making sure that things add up and things are in alignment as much as possible, because there's so many mics out here. Everybody can say whatever they want whenever they want, and it's continuing to clog the airways. But we're going to start to see more of that type of thing break down. Um, but you'll still need to use your discernment and intuition. Like, you shouldn't have to have less clutter in order for your intuition to be on point. It should be on point regardless. So, moving into Virgo this month, a lot of practicality, a lot more focus, figuring out how to get your brain off the hamster wheel, decrease the mental acrobatics, and unapologetically focus a bit more on ourselves in the attempts to be a stronger link within the community, because we're not focusing on ourselves just to better ourselves and go sit by ourselves. We're focusing on bettering ourselves so that we're stronger links within the community. Make sure you check out the links for moon scopes and the links for love scopes for the month of August.